we have this idea, right? Everyone comes in and says, oh, the internet, it's global now, it's international now, and it's the future. We all have to learn how to use it, right? So we have this wonderful utopia of the web and socialization and communities and media and all these wonderful technologies that if we just learned how to use them, we could create that ultimate nirvana, that educational perfect world, right? But the truth is, and the research says, it's not going to happen. Yet. Not in the current state, not the way that it's being used. What you have is you have computers, but you still have people that are bored. It's not about introducing the technology that's necessarily going to make it a more effective classroom, that it's going to make it a better educational system. So when I was speaking earlier about this idea of, is that the best you can do, what I'm actually talking about is this idea of, forget about the technology, or the paper, or whatever you're using, and think about, is this the best model, given my current resources, that I can offer to my students to achieve the goals and objectives of my class, of my teaching? All right. Now, the problem, when I first started out with technology, and using technology, again, I had a background in it. I was desktop support. I did these things in Australia, and really started learning about it, but not learning so much about how to teach it, how to use technology in education. I know how to use computers. I do know how to fix some things, some issues with you. Like you said, I've never heard of a killer dust ball. So when you start talking about, okay, technology in education, call rooms, call labs, computer-assisted language learning, you enter this world of the tech geek. If you're a new person to it, and if you have fear of technology, if you're not comfortable with technology, there's a certain amount of trepidation because you're worried, oh, these tech guys, I've got to go. These guys, they all know more about it than I do, right? So if you're a teacher, the first thing you really start with for a lot of people in university systems is usually one of these three platforms. WebCT is related to Blackboard in that WebCT was bought out by Blackboard. But you have WebCT, you have Blackboard, you have Moodle. CMSs, content management systems. So for me, it started with WebCT, right? And the thing is with these systems, you're getting an out-of-the-box package, right? It does this, it does that. And again, this top-down model of the teacher saying, oh, I have this, I need to learn how to use it so I can use it in my classrooms. How can I use this in my classrooms? So you're presented with a software, with a model, and then it's the teacher's job to start saying, I need it to do this, I need it to do that. Okay? How can I make it do this? So the problem, and where I really started to make this big break in the way that I think about technology in education, was, again, I started making demands on the system, starting with WebCT. The beginning of every semester. Oh, I have a WebCT class, I need to get my students registered. Okay, what we need you to do is make a comma-separated file. Okay, that means put all your students' names, and then make sure you put a comma in there with their student numbers, and then you email that to us, and then we're going to put that up in the system, and then they're going to get some passwords. We'll give you a printout of the passwords, and then halfway through the semester, you have 2 or 3 new students join in, and it's like, I have these new students, I just want to add them to my WebCT. I'm sorry, you have to go to desktop support, and then they're going to register you and then come back to me. So the first part was just from an administrative side, it was a nightmare. It was ridiculous that if I want to do this, I had to keep going to someone else. I need this, and okay, no problem, fill out this form in triplicate, we'll rubber stamp it for you, and we'll eventually get back to you, and then you can start using it. Great. So we have WebCT working. We have it in the classroom. I have some ideas about what I would like to do with my students. And the problem is, it doesn't do it. WebCT at the time. And again, for anyone that might say, it can do that. Okay, maybe now it can, but back 10 years ago when I was using it, it couldn't. You know, I would like to use a video. I want to put a video in there. Okay, no problem. You can put a video in there. You upload your video into this folder, and then the students will have a video. Bing, great. Why is it so small? there should be a button so that we can watch it full screen. And no, you can't. We're sorry. You have to just watch it in the little postcard size. And again, I'm talking about 10 years ago. I know it's different now, but it's like, okay, well, I also want to be able to have these collaborative, which is what exists today, these collaborative files where I want to put a file up there in an environment where the students can have access to it, to edit it, to make changes to it, and then we can all work on these projects together. You can put the file up and they can print it out, but they can't change it because you're the teacher, so you have the managerial control over that, so no, we can't do that. Okay. So for me, it started off with these things, but very, very quickly I got to the point of saying, I want this. And even to the point of saying, I want this, and having the tech side say to me, well, why? Not your concern. I'm the teacher, I'm the one that has these objectives, I'm the one that has these goals. Not your concern, why? I don't need to explain to you why. Okay? I just need it. Can we do it? We'll try, but probably no. Okay. So that started putting me into this kick. And my real first use of technology in education, in the classroom, was the real impetus to get going to start doing things on my own. And that started with something very simple. Camera. Okay. When I was in Australia, tech support, I used to have access to files where I could download all the student names, numbers, and their photos. So I need some photos of my students. We have the files. Oh, I just need those. No, you're not allowed to have those files. Those are the students' private photos, private files. Only the university can have those files. Okay, camera. Day 1, week 1. Everyone line up. I'm taking all your pictures. Now I've got pictures. Now I have a photographic record that I can use to try to match faces with names. So that was the first introduction of technology. That these standard out-of-the-box models didn't do what I wanted them to do. So the only way it's going to get done is I need to do it on my own. But how do you do it? So the next thing where we get into this tech trap is that you go to the tech people, the people that already have experience in the field, right? The people that already know something about it. And I mentioned this earlier, and this is just is it the most recent? Yeah, for the JALT call SIG, okay? So the articles that were published, adoption of mobile technology for language learning, teaching attitudes and challenges. EFL students' readiness for learning, factors influencing e-learners' acceptance of the blackboard. Blended learning spaces, EFL learners reading on mobile phones. Buckling down, initiating an EFL reading circle in a causal online learning group. Whew. Japanese students' experience of ICT and other technology prior to university, a survey. Learner perceptions on the usefulness of a blended learning EFL program. But that's not what I'm doing in my classroom. I need to know, if I want to do A or B or C, how do I do that? So when you go this route, where you've got these resources that you start reading the journals and saying, I'll find something. And again, you find lots of good tips and you find new things and new ideas and new tasks, but it really didn't tell me what I needed to know to say, well, no, I have this idea. I want this. And again, as we talked about earlier, we want this. We want it to do this. Where is the technology to do that? Support not coming from the university or from the educational system. Support not really coming from the literature either, because it's not focused or targeted on what you want to do. So that was a problem. There's a gap there. A gap between new technology users that want to use the technology and the people that are experienced in using technology, and how do we start to bridge that gap between these two groups?